You see, the best thing you want to do is to try as much as possible to build a relationship with a supplier. I have said this so many times on this channel. It doesn't stop you from actually also, doing this in combination with your shopping locally. If you have a local website like, Craigslist, eBay, in Germany here, we have a website called kleinanzeigen.de. These are places, Facebook Marketplace. These are pretty much places you can actually get good stuff. The thing I keep seeing over and over and again for people that are intending to, flip pieces for profit is that they are so carried away with the fact that they got one very good offer on Facebook Marketplace. They bought it, they picked the item up and they flipped it. And now they are back again, trying to put the process on rinse and repeat, which is commendable. This is already a good move in the right direction. Yeah. But the thing is, if you want to build a business out of flipping pieces for profit, mind you, flipping pieces would mean that you are literally flipping hardwares, IT hardwares. It could be monitors, it could be desktop pieces, it could be mini pieces, laptops, tablets, stuff like that. Pretty much what I do. If you want to make this a business, there's a business side to this. There's a hustling side to this as well. If you just want to keep it as a hustle, a hustle gig, you can just keep looking for good offers on Facebook Marketplace, on eBay itself, on Kleinanzeigen if you live in Germany, on Craigslist. I don't know if I said that before, but if you want to build a business out of this thing, you are better off, sticking to a supplier. That's going to change the game for you. A responsible, and of course, suppliers are hard to get. I'm not going to lie, because some of the suppliers, I don't know, out of greed or just sheer hatred for this chain of supply, they want to also be involved with the eBay side of things, which I don't find a little bit okay, because if you are already a wholesaler, just stay with your wholesaler job. Leave the market for the retailers, the resellers that come to you, to grab this stuff and then bring it to the market. Because in this way, you are leaving a little meat at the end of the bone for the retailers as well as the resellers. Because resellers, we are pretty much the same. At the end of the day, we are all resellers, even the wholesalers inclusive. But the problem is, some wholesalers, they want to begin to mess with the platforms. So you now have a situation where you have bought items from a wholesaler, you try to list it on a platform, say eBay, and boom, you realize that the wholesaler that sold you that item in the first place is also there offering the item for sale, which makes no sense, because at the end of the day, the reseller is going to be put in a very, very difficult situation where it's very, very hard to compete in terms of price. The wholesaler, calls the shots. They decide who gets what and who doesn't get anything, and they decide, by extension, who sells something and who doesn't sell anything. All right. But if you have a responsible, wholesaler that understands that, look, this game is just going to be, played in such a way that we all are going to be able to, benefit one way or the other. The wholesaler gets, let's say, €50 per piece of this device. The reseller is also able to, boast of €50 in some cases, 60, 70 euros, depending on what kind of item is being offered for sale. If you have a responsible, a wholesaler like that, please, guys, hold on to that wholesaler as much as you can. And if I'm telling you guys, because this is coming from experience, I've got no script here. I'm telling you the things I have noticed back in the days when I was trying to build relationships with different kind of wholesalers. Sometimes the very first contact you have with a wholesaler sometimes leaves a very sour taste in your mouth, because the wholesaler doesn't know who you are. They don't know if you are a serious person. They don't know your taste in terms of, hardwares. They don't know the kind of stuff. And some wholesalers have this trick of just It's pretty much a standard in the industry. Like if you decide to buy like 10 laptops, you get 8 good laptops. What I mean good, they are looking in very, very clean condition, excellently, very, very clean. And here and there, you get like 1 or 2 that has a little bit of some marks, a little bit, not looking in the best condition that it should naturally be in. This is how the game is played. It's going to be very difficult for you to, order 10 laptops and have, them all looking like new, except that particular inventory, by the wholesaler is just coming like that. But if it's kind of a mix of grade A, grade B goods, and you reach out to your supplier and want to buy like 10 pieces, I'm very sure that you get 9 good ones, and one of them will have some little bit of scratch. This is also how they protect themselves, they protect their profits. It is what it is. All right, I'm saying that sometimes you start out with a wholesaler, the very first set of inventories you buy, you might be disappointed, and a lot of us would just give up at this point. You will like, oh, this is how they are. It's the same story. You can never hold them to their words. They tell you that they are sending you grade A stuff. At the end of the day, they send you items that are not, as described. You have a very sour taste in your mouth, and sometimes you just don't go back to them. I'm telling you guys, this is from experience. Once again, you need to build that relationship. You need to nurture it. It's just like a marriage relationship. You meet somebody on the street day one, you have absolutely no trust. You don't know what to expect. You gradually need to begin to invest in that relationship. You buy the stuff. Even when the items are not looking like described, you can just casually reach out to them and say, look, it's not a problem. I will take it. I will try to sell it. Don't worry. We'll do it together. I am here to deal. You have to keep giving the supplier that, that assurance that you are not just a one transaction person. You are here for the long haul. You are willing to play golf for as long as possible. This is exactly what they want to see. And when they begin to see that, gradually you begin to be referred to as one of their best clients, one of their best, buyers. And the moment you fall into that category and they can call you with full confidence that this, reseller here makes no problem. He pays promptly. He picks up his items, quickly. And even in the event where the items have a little defect here and there, he doesn't complain. He just casually tells us. He doesn't put us on this hot seat of trying to always complain and trying to want to make, recourse to the return policy. Guys, if you can check all those, you are going to be the reseller of choice for that wholesaler. And sometimes, just pretty much every year, wholesalers will always have this home run. Inventories just coming out from the big organizations. They lash onto it. And they are now reaching out to their suppliers. I'm telling you, you'll be the first person that they will be intending, to dispose those inventories to, because you have proven that you are a no-nonsense, reseller. You buy, you pay, and you do not complain. And I'm telling you, this is going to help you a lot. Today I was at my suppliers, and there's a particular charger that was given to me like 3 days ago that didn't work. I didn't even mention it. I just looked for something else in the warehouse, replaced it, and moved on. But today, when I went there to pick up some stuff, I just casually said, look, one of the power supplies that you gave to me was defective. Before I could say jack, I said, no, you know what? We're going to give you another one. I was like, see, I could return the defective power supply. You don't have to. We believe you. We trust what you are saying, because this is a relationship that dates back to well over 5 years, and the behavior from my side has pretty much remained the same. I buy, I pay. Sometimes I get stuff that I would have thought would have been a little bit better in terms of appearance. I didn't complain. I kept putting in the work to show to these people that, look, I am somebody that you can count on. And given that I have been able to prove myself for a very long time, I cannot say that I am one of the best buyers, from my supplier. You're talking about the resellers that buy directly from the suppliers. I can be referred to as one of the most reliable, resellers on their list. And there are a lot of benefits that you can get from there. Sometimes you enjoy special discounts Sometimes you just enjoy preferential, VIP treatments. New items are coming. You are able to, quickly, you'll be contacted well ahead of the others. And sometimes when they are preparing your items for shipment, they understand, they know the kind of stuff that you plant. You are more likely than not, you are more often than not giving the best devices that they have, and they just leave the rest for those that they are not so sure of. They don't have any history with it, just kind of ship out the rest items to go like that. So guys, what I'm saying in effect is, do not be in a hurry when you meeting a supplier for the first time. Give time to know the supplier. Give ample time to understand how the supplier behaves, and also give time for the supplier to also know the kind of person that you are. Of course, you're not going to start with buy 300 pieces of a particular laptop. You want to buy small. If you have desktop pieces being offered to you, small. If you have desktop pieces being offered to you, tell them, look, I'm just a small retailer, but I'll be okay with taking 5 pieces just to test how it works. I'll be okay with taking 2 pieces. You'll be surprised that a supplier will say, don't worry, you are allowed to buy a few pieces from us, because we understand how business goes. You have to check if the item is going to be profitable for you and stuff like that. They are conscientious, suppliers like that. Of course, there are also bad suppliers that do not care if your business succeeds or fails. This kind of supplier, if you give ample time and you realize that they are the way they are, naturally, you want to stop doing business with them. But if you can identify some special qualities of a particular supplier, guys, the more you stay there, I'm telling you, you are going to be better off for it. Until I see you again in the next video, peace out.